Secret meetings on the Hill led by House Intel Chair Devin Nunes. They're digging into concerns about corruption in the Department of Justice and in the FBI with regard to the Trump investigation. So today, FBI Director Andrew McCabe was back on the Hill before the House Judiciary Committee, and demoted DOJ official Bruce Orr, he was in front of the Senate Intel Committee today being questioned behind closed doors as well. So they have a lot of questions for these individuals, and they've been grilling them all week, essentially. Ellison Barber joins us now live with this report from Washington. Hi, Ellison.
Hi, Martha. That's right. Andrew McCabe was back on the Hill again today. He was just there earlier this week, but this time he was meeting with investigators working on a joint investigation involving two House committees, Judiciary and Oversight. The chairman of the House Oversight and Judiciary committees sent a letter to the Department of Justice Tuesday night, not long after McCabe finished his 7-hour testimony with the House Intelligence Committee on Tuesday. They said they wanted McCabe and others to be available for, quote, transcribed interviews. One Republican member of the House Judiciary Committee says McCabe's interview on Tuesday was inadequate.
We have some very fundamental questions here, which are very easy to answer. How did the Russia investigation start in July of 2016? Was it because of the Trump dossier that was funded by the Democrats and compiled by Christopher Steele? Did the FBI pay Christopher Steele for that dossier? If he's not capable of answering the questions, he's got no business being the deputy director of the FBI.
The DOJ agreed to make McCabe available to the House committees today, but only in a classified setting. In a letter, an assistant attorney general said, quote, Mr. McCabe will not be in a position to discuss matters that are within the scope of the investigation of special counsel Robert Mueller. The letter then went on to say, quote, we respectfully request that the interview transcripts not be made public. On the other side of the Hill today, also behind closed doors, the Senate Intelligence Committee heard from Bruce Orr, a former Associate Deputy Attorney General who was demoted, as Fox News exclusively reported, after he had undisclosed meetings with two operatives tied to the firm that produced the Trump dossier. Democrats are warning that all of this is part of an effort to discredit the investigation into Russia's involvement in the 2016 election.
What's going on behind those closed doors? We all know what's going on behind. It's not a search for the truth. It's a search to undermine the legitimacy of Mueller's investigation.
Now, sources told Fox News that during Tuesday's interview, McCabe said he could not remember when he learned that the Clinton campaign and the DNC had paid for that now notorious anti-Trump dossier. We're told that he was pressed on that issue again by Republicans in the meetings today. Martha?
Ellison, thank you very much. Here now with more, Mark Thiessen, American Enterprise Institute scholar and a Fox News contributor, and Juan Williams, co-host of The Five and a Fox News political analyst. Devin Nunes is at the center of a lot of this story today. It came out in Politico saying that he has been huddled, sort of secretly for weeks was the phrase that they used. And they're getting together to try to figure out whether or not there is corruption at the highest levels of the DOJ and the FBI. And then, on the other side of the fence, Mark, you have, huge criticism of Devin Nunes. Asking why he's back on the scene. He removed himself from the Russia investigation. We all remember the moment when he went quickly over to the White House to sort of share with them what he knew about this dossier. So what do you make of his involvement in these supposed secret meetings?
Well, I don't know about his involvement, but I know that there's absolutely nothing wrong with Congress investigating this. Look, you've had senior members of the Justice Department fired from their jobs and disciplined for improper conduct. There's an ongoing internal inspector general investigation at the Justice Department into that improper conduct. And Congress, as a co-equal branch of government, would be abdicating its responsibility if it didn't look into this. None of that, by the way, undermines the credibility of the Mueller probe at all, because it was Mueller who, when he found out about Peter Strzok and his virulent anti-Trump emails, he fired him. So he did the right thing, but he had something to fire someone for. He did, and it's not just him. It's also Bruce Orr, who was a senior official who was meeting with Trump with the Fusion GPS, married to a Fusion GPS person, met with Christopher Steele, who was the guy behind the Clinton-funded Trump dossier and didn't tell his superiors. He's also been disciplined. So you've got people being disciplined, internal investigation. Why would Congress not look into this? It would be an abdication of responsibility.
I hear, sort of hyperventilating in some corners about the fact that these questions are even being asked. And one, there are people who are currently in the FBI and people who are not too long out of the FBI who are so unhappy with what they have seen going on from the Clinton investigation to now. So this idea that it impugns the integrity to even ask these questions, to even say, wait a minute, is there bias involved with Clinton? Was she given, was she sort of softball handled, and was Trump sort of jumped on before he even had a chance to get into the White House? Why are these questions that are we're not even allowed to ask in terms of impugning their credibility?
Well, you can ask whatever you like, but I mean, what exactly is Devin Nunes investigating at this point? We've had Jeff Sessions, the Attorney General. We've had Rod Rosenstein, the Deputy Attorney General, who's in charge of the Mueller probe. We've had Christopher Wray, who's head of the FBI, all say there is nothing right now of any significance that would undermine what Robert Mueller is doing. And instead, Devin Nunes, who, as you pointed out, Martha, was earlier involved and had to recuse himself and now is back in charge, is conducting an investigation solely among Republicans. No Democrats allowed in the room, no participation. Yeah. So it's not in keeping with a true congressional investigation. This is a partisan attack.
I have a feeling that Mark will, echo this thought. But the problem is that, the testimony that you talked about with Rosenstein and with Andrew McCabe and Christopher Wray, that was all in front of congressional committees who can't get any information that they want. They're going to have to subpoena to get the actual information about the dossier. Mark, correct?
That's absolutely true. And look, again, they didn't say that there was nothing wrong or there was nothing done improper. What they said was repeatedly, I can't comment on that because there's an internal investigation being done by the Inspector General. So, I mean, I worked on Capitol Hill for 7 years. When there's an internal investigation by the Inspector General, when people have been fired and demoted for political bias and for doing things that were contrary to conduct, Congress investigates that. And there were Democrats questioning McCabe today, and there were Democrats questioning Orr today. So this whole focus on Nunes is a distraction. There is some serious misconduct going on, and we need to get to the bottom of it, just like we need to get to the bottom of it if there was any kind of collusion between Trump and Russia.
Mark, I mean, you should be specific. What misconduct? In fact, what we see here is an effort
Fusion
by
GPS
Nunes
without telling
to muddy the waters, to stir things up, so that people don't pay attention to the relationship between Russia and the Trump campaign. I think all these people that came in today are to be credited. They're not running away from anybody. They're not taking the fifth. They're not claiming lawyer-client privilege. They are cooperating with whatever.
Point. There was some concern that Andrew McCabe would not even come, or that he would, figure out, or maybe get private counsel and leave the FBI.
Yeah, right.
He's there. He's answering the questions. They've been back twice this week, and it's a point well taken. Mark and Juan, thank you very much. Good to see you guys tonight. Merry Christmas to you too. So General Jack Keane with a warning for everyone tonight. He says time is running out and a showdown with North Korea is coming in 2018. And the United Nations gives a big thumbs down to the White House decision on...
Good evening from Washington, where a big shoe has just dropped in the Russia investigation. Testimony that could bolster the credibility of the fired FBI Director James Comey, could corroborate his account of what happened between himself and the president, and could directly undermine a key claim the president made about it on more than one occasion. Look at this.
People suggest that the question that apparently the New York Times is selling, that you asked Comey whether or not you had his loyalty, was possibly inappropriate. Could you see how they would think that?
I read that article. I don't think it's inappropriate.
Did you ask that question?
No, I didn't. But I don't think it would be a bad question to ask. I think loyalty to the country, loyalty to the United States is important. It depends on how you define loyalty. Number one. Number two, I don't know how that got there, because I didn't ask that question.
I hardly know the man. I'm not going to say, I want you to pledge allegiance. Who would do that? Who would ask a man to pledge allegiance under oath? I mean, think of it. I hardly know the man.
All right, so that's the claim. He never asked Director Comey for a loyalty pledge, but there's breaking news on that tonight from testimony the FBI's deputy director gave to the House Intelligence Committee. Let's go up to Capitol Hill. CNN's Manu Raju is joining us with the very latest. Manu, what are you hearing from your sources about what happened behind closed doors with the FBI deputy director, Andrew McCabe?
Well, he was asked earlier this week with when he met with the House Intelligence Committee about these conversations with James Comey, his former boss, who was, of course, FBI director when Andy McCabe was the deputy director then and is now. And what McCabe told the House Intelligence Committee was that James Comey, in fact, did tell him about these conversations with President Trump. If you recall, Comey has testified under oath that he had multiple conversations with the president. There was an ask for loyalty. The president asked him to pledge loyalty, asked him to suggest that he should maybe back off his friend and the fired former national security advisor, Michael Flynn. And what we were told from multiple sources with direct knowledge of McCabe's testimony is that McCabe, in fact, confirmed that Comey told him this directly. Now, when Comey testified before the Senate Intelligence Committee, Wolf, he said that he told his senior leadership about this, but he did not say that he told McCabe about it. So this is the first time we're hearing that McCabe potentially could be a contemporaneous witness disputing the president's account if the special counsel, Robert Mueller, does decide to look into this further. It does decide to look into the firing of James Comey. Perhaps he'll ask McCabe his impression of what happened, because according to McCabe, Comey told him all about this at the time, and he could be a contemporaneous witness, Wolf.
Potentially very significant. What can you tell us, Manu, about McCabe's relationship with the Republicans?
Well, a number of Republicans have been critical about McCabe. They do not believe that he's been necessarily a fair arbiter at the FBI. And particularly, they don't like the way the email investigation was handled, the Clinton email investigation was handled. And that was one reason why he was brought behind closed doors before two House committees today. He actually just left, Wolf, after spending 9 hours behind closed doors, his second testimony this week. And in large part, he was asked about the Clinton email investigation. And what I'm told from Republicans who left the room, including the Republican Jim Jordan, is that it reinforced their belief that Clinton was treated favorably by the FBI, by the FBI's decision not to pursue any charges against Clinton for her handling of her emails and her private email server. So the question is whether or not McCabe essentially eased any of the criticism from Republicans. Uncertain about that, because heading into this, Wolf, some Republicans were saying that he should step aside, including the Senate Judiciary Chairman Chuck Grassley said he should step aside from this job. But this is just the beginning of this investigation from this House-led, these two committees, Wolf, who want to look into possible FBI bias in their decisions during the 2016 campaign.
Yeah, lots of important developments. Manu, thank you very much.